Hey guys, and welcome to another Destiny Council gameplay video. Today I'm joined by Andrew, and we're
What's up,
going to be
guys?
looking at some gameplay between Qui-Gon Kanan and Five Die Villain.
Yeah, Rainbow Fives is starting to be called. It's pretty awesome. Really
Yeah,
fun deck.
really explosive matchup,
For
really good.
sure, yeah.
But this is going to be the first in a series of videos that will be basically Qui-Gon Kanan going through a gauntlet of the current decks. We feel like right now most of the top decks have been covered in deck techs,
hmm
and it feels like semi-pointless to go through more deck techs until
Yeah,
Legacies releases, because
Legacy
then.
is definitely going to be super hype with just tons of new decks out there and a ton
Mhm.
of different variations and options. So,
So we were just thinking that this would be a good in between the time frame where there's these pre-releases of Legacies, it's already in Europe,
yeah.
um, to just cover the current meta, cover a gauntlet for one of the decks that we have the most experience with. Like every single one of us in our playtesting group has played a lot of Qui-Gon Kanan. Um,
Yeah, like we personally actually have a couple regionals coming up in January. So if you're like us and you're worried that
yeah.
Legacies, when is it dropping exactly, you can take a look at these and
hmm
get a good idea for like running the field, running the gauntlet of tier one decks.
hmm
So.
Yeah, and we chose this, not R2P2, because, as I said, we have way more experience on this deck than we do with R2P2.
Yeah,
Although, and Five Die Villain, Sabine Ezra, they're all viable options.
definitely.
But this we just felt like we'd have the most to say. So
Yeah, and I think it's just a great deck. It's very solid. It's one of the decks you will see a bunch if you're going
hmm
to regionals, and we definitely have RTP2 coming up along in this deck too, so you get to see that versus matchup, and
hmm
it's gonna be a fun ride.
yeah,
So
yeah, it will be a
yeah,
lot of fun. So we're gonna go ahead and get this replay rolling. So some things to note. I run a couple tech cards that I would say are kind of bad. Like I run swiftness in my Qui-Gon Kanan, which you might be like, why? Why would you run that?
why would you run that, John?
Well, it's a bad card because it costs one resource and effectively gives you nothing.
Yeah,
The card itself is just like I'm just gonna throw away a reroll and a resource. But what it does do is that um, in the average game against an average player, it's not good.
hmm
But when you're playing against another really competitive, really skilled player, it's one of the most useful cards you can have in your deck because your opponent has to play around way more options and can't anticipate everything that you can do.
it's not really a card that your opponent would expect to see ever either. So it gives you
hmm
that surprise factor, which yeah, surprising a good opponent is one of the best ways to win.
hmm So I'm in no way saying that you have to do this in your Qui-Gon Kane. It will you will lose value in your deck. Those could be two removal cards, things like that. But I just value being able to surprise my opponent, being able to play fast, claim the battlefield. And
Yeah,
we do see here that I go ahead and drop a 4 speed down on Kanan turn 1, which
that's a
we
great start.
and we all agree that 4 speed on Kanan is one of the most powerful tools out there because it just helps your turns go so much faster.
It gives
Helps
you a
you,
ton of flexibility in general, right?
hmm
Yeah.
and battlefield control is very important in the current meta. Um, so it's just extremely helpful. I mean, we can see here that I accidentally played Destiny instead of um, lightsaber pull.
Oh,
I'm
whoops.
lightsaber pulling. I will eventually notice this, but
Well,
in case you're curious.
yeah, I'm sure that would. So yeah, I'm just rolling out a ball here, and um, I don't really have much on there. Although the resource is pretty tempting. I think I have two, and yeah.
hmm
Unfortunately, I don't have another weapon, so I can't get a second upgrade out turn one. Definitely with Rainbow Fives, that's a really good option. Just getting the
hmm
double weapon out turn one is such an insane start, and it really gets you a heads up on the game. But
See, I finally noticed.
oh, finally noticed your lightsaber pull. I'm just gonna get Nicestrian into pool here and really start trying to hit like that massive max damage turn one.
hmm Yeah, so definitely turn 1 is very, very swingy in this matchup. You have the potential to just kill one of my characters, put one of them down to 2 health. So I'm definitely mulliganing for stuff like guard.
Yeah,
Even overconfidence, because while it costs a resource, so I need to roll a resource out there, being able to effectively mitigate 2 dice, because you do rely on a lot of rerolls, is pretty strong.
yeah. You just rolled the double twos there, which is pretty sick considering you have focus. You could instantly focus on the six. If you have
hmm
close quarters assault, you could discard three.
hmm
Um, so I think
I believe I made a mistake here. I do have a guard in my hand, and I was thinking about instead of resolving the damage, just immediately guarding with a 3 from the raised lightsaber, so that you could it would have mitigated 3 dice this
hmm
turn. But instead, I decided to make the damage play first, which then allows you to remove my Ray Saber, which is a very
Yeah.
smart play
As
by
soon as
you.
you didn't deal 6 there, I knew that you had removal of some kind that would allow you to use your saber, so I assumed it was guard. So
Mhm.
that's why I instantly kicked it with that he doesn't link you there.
Mhm.
Yeah, slight misplay by you, but solid heads up play there by me.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously would have been able to remove then one of my damage dice, and I would have only been able to deal 2 this turn, but removing 3 of your dice probably would have been worth
Oh
it.
yeah, 3 would have been insane. I think that would have shut down my turn entirely.
Mhm.
2 for 3 is a fairly solid trade when you want to ramp up in upgrades, and you're definitely going to deal chip damage regardless of what you have on the board. So
Mhm.
you can see I'm leaving that resource sitting there with Sienna, so either I have a logistics or I'm waiting on the bait and switch.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is just the scary part. I find that in these matchups that are so explosive, it's really it's normally not that bad, except for when you roll a bunch of 1 and 6s. When you hit the 2 sides on these dice, either Qui-Gon or Kanan
Right.
or the 5 die villain side, it
Well, it increases your damage output by 100%, which is just an insane
mhm.
difference. I basically see you don't have removal at this point because you have 1 card left, and I assume you had the guard there. So I'm going for like the max damage play here.
I'm basically waiting to see who you deal damage to so that I can claim and put a shield on that person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I will be able to resolve that one range first.
I get super greedy here, but I'm just like I'm pretty sure he doesn't have anything that would be detrimental here. So then yeah, I bait and switch into 8 damage. Pretty sick turn 1.
Yeah,
Um,
very very good for you.
yeah, I ended up going for Kanan here just because of the force misdirect play,
Mhm.
and you have a 4 speed, which kind of like speeds up your game, and the ready to play on Qui-Gon means that you're not going to be getting as much value
Mhm.
from targeting him because you haven't gotten double Chodos down. So it's kind of like a lot of like small matchup dependent things that depending
Mhm.
on where you're coming from as 5 die, you have a lot to think about. But
So I'm gonna go ahead and just start by rolling out that Kanan there and hitting that 4 speed special
oh
2
my
and
gosh,
2
could you
is
roll better? Holy.
no I couldn't. I think that
So
was
you would
about
just sound
perfect.
the alarm right there, but oh my gosh,
Um,
yeah. So you get double resources. You have the double 2 drops. That's the question here. Um,
that is the question.
yeah, that is the question. Hmm. So activate Night Sister there. Don't activate the ball just yet.
Curious. Oof.
Ooh, dang. So that's lethal.
So I
And
take that resource and deal that 5 to Vala,
yep.
putting them over the edge. Obviously, that was some crazy rolls by me. As I said, it's
Just a
when
bit good.
these games are like good, great games, but they're incredibly swingy when somebody hits the nuts and hits the 2 sides. It's just
Yeah.
all the one you deal like so much more damage if you can get lucky with that.
Well, Belichick is so fragile, so if you can get him off the table early, he does surprisingly less. And then on the other
Mhm.
hand, I can deal so much damage with that character if he manages to stay alive for a
Mhm.
bit longer.
Yeah, and you weren't able
Um,
to really utilize him at all this turn. Um,
no,
I just have rolled too
tragedy.
well, too fast.
Bye bye 2 dice. Thankfully, I only lost 2 dice there because I didn't have any non-read plays.
Mhm.
If you have like DH17's turn 1 or like X8s or anything,
Mhm.
typically I would play them on Sienna or even
Yeah,
Night Sister potentially.
and here you can clearly see that I'm thinking if he has another bait and switch, I'm doomed. So I'm contemplating whether I need to be playing whatever removal I may have right now.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, I just go for the reroll, taking a resource, making sure I get that value out of Kanan's die, um,
Yep.
in case he did die from the bait and switch. And you don't have your second one, so that's great for me.
Yeah. So I'm just going for more damage here.
I go ahead and caution over to that Kanan,
Intimidate.
and you immediately intimidate. So that was maybe a bit hasty on my part, but it's hard because while you want to wait and see if they're going to intimidate your shields, you also need to stay ahead of your opponent
Mm-hmm.
because the claim is very very important. So if I'm waiting to see if you play that and you don't end up playing it, um,
For
then
sure.
you could end up getting the claim here. And I really need to roll out Kanan first next turn to be able to use them.
So I'm still looking for the damage. I hit 1. That's not going to be enough, but I have the tactical mastery for next turn, so.
Mhm. I'm gonna claim for that shield.
So I'm just gonna look for a modifier because I have the F11D. I have a decent chance right here. It looks like I had enough damage to
Yep.
execute.
right on that. I believe your last reroll.
Yep.
Hit 2 damage sides.
Yep, definitely felt good. I mean, there's decent odds there with the F11D having 2/2 sides and Sienna having 1 and 3 of hitting something decent. So
yeah,
definitely fortunate.
Oh,
so here's a card that just came up. It's called Sustained Fire. I guess 1, if you spot 2 range, you remove all shields from an opponent's characters. This card has been insane at dealing with RTP2 and Qui-Gon Kanan. I've definitely dealt like 6 damage turn 2 in turns before. It's just such a great card for the shield meta.
Right.
And it only costs 1, so definitely a card I would consider as like a hidden tech your opponent won't be expecting.
It does rely on you having 2 range sides, but obviously in the 5-die villain deck that just swarms the board with dice, that's not hard at all.
I hit kind of the nuts right here, 3 for 1 plus 2.
And me being Qui-Gon Kanan, I can't deal with stuff in the pool until I rolled out. So I roll out, and I also roll crazy. I'm thinking here, I believe about my Shadow proc. It's always tempting to take shields, but shield hate cards are real in 5-die villains. So,
they are.
I decided to just deal the damage to the Night Sister. My main fear is that if I didn't kill Night Sister this turn, you would ping to reroll all your dice and deal like 10 to Qui-Gon, and the game would be over.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to shut that play off. So you see me going over there to the Night Sister. It feels bad though because you're leaving the 2 character dice of Sienna.
Yeah, I also have like an X8 down, so it's hard to know. I mean, I think limiting rerolls can be definitely beneficial. I think I actually looked at your graveyard there to see if you have a guard, and that's gonna inform my decision here because I saw both guards in your graveyard. Yeah, I'm hoping you'll take those 2 shields because I have suppressing fire on the table, and it looks like I'm gonna He Doesn't Like You at +3 just to remove some of the damage.
Yeah, obviously you avoid the base side there, but I think that you were just assuming that with rerolls I was eventually going to hit a black side, so mitigating the 3 is just the more cost efficient choice there. You're gonna go ahead and do that bait and switch and hit me for a ton.
Yeah.
I believe 7.
Yeah, it looks like I'm holding off on the sustained fire, just gonna get it in next turn. And you're probably just like, holy crap, I got hit by 7 there. Like, what?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It's not as close anymore, but.
I am at the critical 3 upgrade point where getting rid of Ancients isn't bad because then you start out next turn with 2 resources, you can just play a new upgrade.
Right.
So I can Ancient heal here, and it won't feel too bad, and I have all those shields there, so it doesn't feel terrible. It feels, for me, I feel like I'm still definitely in this game. Like, it'll be really hard for you to get through all of my HP. But
well, you're gonna have 3 shields too at the end of this round, so.
Exactly, 3 shield, 4 damage on him. Will not feel that bad.
Yeah, like unless I draw into my second Intimidate here, I'm not gonna be able to remove those shields, right? Yeah, definitely. Man, sustained fire is so good, but that's another note. Yeah, so I'm loaded up here.
Oh, and you see, I also have that Force Illusion.
Oh, Force, holy mac! Yeah, this game just went from like winnable in my mind to like not looking good at all.
I still have a lot of health to go through, and you still have 5 dice.
I do have 5 dice, but you have how much health there? 7, 10 if you include the shields plus a Force Illusion. You are sitting pretty, and I have a lot of modifiers, so.
Yes, Force Illusion obviously very strong against 5-die villain. If there's a reason to run Force Illusion in your deck, it's 5-die villain.
Oh, for sure.
Just its inability to have even the option of like Fiber Knives for its damage.
I go a bit crazy, Sustained Fire, full of shields. You're like, what the heck is that card?
I mean, I knew that card exists.
Right.
Definitely. And I knew that you were running it. But it still feel a bad moment.
Definitely, yeah.
Not only did I leave your range damage there, you also just casually go and remove all my shields first.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely, I just need to get enough damage through here to threaten Sienna. Because I feel like I can play the sustain game, especially with Ancient Heals. But it's always scary because right now you're ahead of me in actions. So
yeah, so I'm gonna get that potential tactical mastery next turn. You notice right there I popped you with a 3 to trigger your Force Illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know in this matchup with all these modifiers, I'm unlikely to get anything more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So just a matter of like getting out of the way and yeah.
Here I'm obviously scared. Whenever you see resource sides, it's like is that damage?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it right now. Like if
Hmm.
that you do have that card, I'm taking 5 to my face. But I just go ahead and just play the ancient.
It's like another ancient. Holy heck.
So you don't have it.
Yeah,
I'm happy
I'm
about.
going big right here. I just need to get back into this game. I need like a base side. Don't hit it. It's actually like really low odds here that I hit something. It's like 1 in 6 on Sienna and the DH17 because I have no money.
Mm-hmm.
But if I hit
If
one
you
of
hit
those,
it, you win.
I'm definitely
Essentially.
like, well, I'm back in the game. I'd say
Mhm.
like I only have 4 damage left, so I do hit it. So
You punk.
it seems good. I'm okay with that. Feel that 5.
Mm-hmm.
So this game is starting to look pretty close. You have 2 damage on the table right there, but
You
looks
do
like you
see
destiny it out.
Destiny out of Shoto.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny is another card that I'm not 100% convinced on, but it's incredibly powerful turn 1. Just to be able to get 2 drops on turn 1
Yeah.
is insane. And then also it's good for being able to play removal when you don't have resources. It turns every die into a Kanan resource essentially, where you can combine taking a resource and playing a card in the same action.
And also, like, a good part of deck building is taking chances on cards and, like, trying them out and experimenting with them. And I think definitely the potential of Destiny is insane. Like, you roll out Kanan turn 1, you could potentially double Shoto on Qui-Gon turn 1. And that'd be such a max value
the critical roll where I roll 3 resources, and I'm like, I needed to threaten the kill here.
I'm sitting on Feel Your Anger for the last 2 turns, though, so I'm like, what the heck? Giving it a blank, like, cover.
And as I missed this damage needed when I missed this damage needed to kill, I decided to just take the Shotos in defense. This prevents the tactical mastery play from killing me, essentially, because even if you have Intimidate, you couldn't then Intimidate and roll out and Resolved.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what and then you're going to see here a play that's quite interesting. So 5-Dive Villain really relies on rerolls. And I just go ahead and Swiftness the close quarters to get rid of your entire hand.
That was so dumb.
Which I believe you had an Intimidate in there.
I did. I did Intimidate and a back muscle, so I was putting you to 3.
So all I need you to do is miss. Just miss on your rollout. And you just go out there and you just roll, what?
Like 7 damage.
7 damage?
I mean,
I make the mistake here, though, of re-rolling the X8. With how much money you had there, you were just going to be able to...
But I mean, it might hit the X8, right? So, like, maybe... Like, there's a decent chance that it's the 1 on X8, and then you can remove it. So...
That's true.
I'd say that wasn't the worst move, but...
But, I mean, with DH having 2 blanks, it was not the best odds. You do hit 5 damage despite having no rerolls, and then me hitting the triple resources, rerolling those, and not even hitting shields with my misses. I hit a resource and a blank. I do hit the 2 side, but I needed more. I needed to win this turn with that reroll. That was my goal. But instead, I'm just going to deal...
I mean, that's the downside of spinning 3 cards and dumping my hand, right? Like, maybe you roll bad.
At the same time, though, seeing what cards I have in my hand there, I have no control. So if I don't do that, I die this turn.
I'm like looking at this here, so like you pretty much killed me on activation, so I claim put that shield on. I'm like, where's my Tactical Mastery? I did mill it with the Force Illusion, which made me pretty happy.
Tactical Mastery is pretty strong in 5-Dive Villain. Sienna ends up finishing a lot because if you're playing 5-Dive Villain aggressively, you almost always are pinging your Night Sister to the point where your opponent decides to kill her before killing
Sienna.
Sienna.
Tactical Mastery, what happens? I'm feeling pretty good at this point. I got a decent number of chances here to finish it, but oh my gosh, I whiff. What the heck? Come on, Sienna. What is that X8 doing over there? So I'm just like, discard to reroll. Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't just pay 1 to turn to the 1.
Well,
obviously,
it opens then you activate and you get the Shoto. Double Shoto, right?
Oh, right, so that would have saved me.
That pushes you out of range. I just
but you do just reroll into 5 damage. Which is more than enough to kill me. I have no options in hand being Qui-Gon Kanan. I have Force Mr. X, but those I need to be in the pool, obviously. So 5-Dive Villain takes game 1. So obviously this is a...
I mean, I thought that game was over when you killed Bala, like, turn 2, but I guess I
But
had
you'd already
pressure onto
dealt the
Kanan
damage
too,
to
so
Kanan, and having just you had a lot of health left. You had a couple big rolls in there, hitting that 1 and 6 to turn on your 2+2s
it's true.
was
Yeah.
really important.
Yep.
Not having your tactical mastery milled by your Force Illusion was also pretty big.
Definitely helped a lot. I mean, I would have lost that game if that had been
Mhm.
milled. So
So
if I'd rolled the same.
this is a Qui-Gon Kanan focus video, so we're gonna just some thoughts on the matchup
Yeah.
and maybe what I did wrong here.
I'm actually looking to toss a 5-die villain
Mhm.
deck check up at some point.
Mhm.
Sweet.
Um, but so Qui-Gon Kanan into 5-die villain, there are a couple of cards that are really, really extremely good that you can run. Force Illusion being at the top of that list.
Definitely a great card in the matchup. You just have to stay alive, right?
Right. And it's really powerful at keeping characters alive on that like turn 2, where like to keep the ballot trigger from going off. Sound the Alarm can be a good option. I don't like pure reroll cards that much. It's just a personal preference because I like knowing
They
what's
still
going to
wreck
happen.
your opponent like the majority of the time, though, right? So
to an extent.
To an extent, depending on how many cards they have left, right? But it's still a good card.
But it's definitely a good card to consider in this 5-die villain matchup.
Costs 0 too, which is a great bonus.
But one of my favorite cards is definitely Overconfidence. Being able to potentially mitigate. 5-die villain rerolls a ton, has multiple +2s showing there. The Overconfidence 2 +2s, and you have a good chance of reducing their damage by about 3. Whereas typically removing a single die is just removing 2 damage. And also Guard is really important
too, I would say. So there's a lot of matchups that can be helpful.
Guard is really important early, because you need to ramp, but you also need to play removal on turn 1. So if you don't roll resources, Guard is your answer. And then just you need to deal a lot of burst damage. You see, I didn't really get any synchronicities that game, which is annoying.
You got 1, I'm pretty sure, right? Because you did 1 to Nicester.
Yes.
We could actually go over this video, and maybe it was a mistake to go for Nicester.
I don't think so.
You think I could have maximized damage with her more effectively?
Right. Even the Nicester is just very scary. Where I needed you to not deal like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage that turn. You had.
I dealt quite a bit of damage that turn.
You did with rerolls. You hit that. Was that like the DH17 turn where you hit the?
I think so. Yeah.
And that's what I couldn't afford. And I mean, I think it was still a fine play. Close Quarters Assault is actually really, really powerful in this matchup. I keep going back to it. 5-die villain rerolls a lot because they want to hit the +2s. Sometimes they'll just roll out the nuts on the first roll, and then there's nothing you can do.
I would actually argue that Close Quarters Assault combos really well with Sound the Alarm. Because you reroll their dice, they discard to reroll, or like you discard their cards, they're discarding to reroll. And when they finally hit something, you can make them reroll it.
Yeah, so obviously there are some potential cards that need to be in there, but I think the matchup is very winnable for both sides. It's just really swingy early, so you need to mulligan for your really powerful early control cards. The thing that will make you win the most games is when you can. You need to mitigate the games where they roll the nuts. So that's where Force Illusions early, Guards early, and reroll effects early help you to not just lose the game on turn 1. If you can get rid of those losses, then I feel like you have a good chance. I got dealt 8 damage on turn 1 this game.
A lot of this goes back to that guard misplay by you, right? Because like you should have guarded early. You had the option to guard 3 dice before dealing 4. I mean, I would have removed 2 damage. Maybe Bala doesn't die earlier. Like, there's all sorts of other options, but then I'm behind like potentially 6 damage there. So.
All right. Well, we do have another game coming up here, guys. We're in these matchup focuses. We're doing 2 games against each deck. So we have another 5-die villain game coming up here. But until next time, guys.
Yep. Peace out. Catch you in the next video.